um, Robert Lewandowski came out, with a statement suggesting he's going to stay at Barcelona. No real surprises there. But we want to talk about what do you think the future holds for Barcelona? Xavi stepped down a couple months ago, but then since then they went on a decent run in the Champions League, and they came together and he decided to stay. Now he said something that provokes the Barcelona board, Joan Laporta, and it's looking like a dicey situation all over again. So what are your thoughts? Like, how do you see the future hold for you? Whoever wants to go first.
I could start just because I have followed it just because I am a fan of Barca. So it was funny that you brought up the topic in the group chat. It is weird, definitely. Not fun following it as a fan, but it has been going like this really for Barca. And then to look now into the future with this team, pretty talented, but at the same time, if you don't have the manager, he's leaving, then he's staying. Now he's potentially leaving again. Not what you want at a top club, but at the same time, it's a shame because they have a lot of talent on their team. But where they look now, I think Xavi's going to probably end up leaving. I think it's just too much back and forth by this time. I think he's just going to be done with it. And there is talks about Hansi Flick being their manager. So if that becomes the case, that would be interesting because I think he's something different than they've had. But I think Xavi will move on, and they're going to sort of start over again next year. But they have a talented team, so it shouldn't be too much of a change. But I'm interested to see it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of looking into it a little bit. At first, I just a disclaimer, not the biggest soccer fan in the world. So I was a little, nervous coming on. But I was looking into it a little bit, and like you guys already talked about it. Like there was like a lot of like back and forth. Like it was like, do we want to keep him? Do we not want to keep him? And then, like you said, Emran, he stepped down. So I guess like for me, like my question is like why was there so much like back and forth? Like was it just kind of one of those things where he was kind of like outdated, I guess I want to say, or like what was like the main reason why he stepped down? Is it kind of like I'll bring football into American football into this? Is it kind of like Bill Belichick where it's like we kind of need like a new voice now with the organization?
No, not necessarily. He first of all, I think it's important the context of it. He is a club legend. He's a legend for the club, and he's not one of the guys that like played a long time ago. He retired 2016, 17 around there. I don't know exactly. A legend
Okay.
of the club, and had a very short managerial stint before making the move to Barca. I think the main thing was with him leaving was kind of the pressure of being a manager of Barcelona, being the manager that, he's a Catalan, he's from that city, he's of that ethnicity, the pressure of that. The media, when it comes to, La Liga or Premier League in European soccer is very very harsh. It's a little
Right.
different than American sports. The media there is very very harsh, and there's pressure day in day out. And when you're a team like Barcelona, the pressure is not just to compete every single year. It's to win trophies every single year. That is the expectations, and he said it in his press conference shortly after he stepped down, where he said, "You guys, you will never allow someone to stay here for a while." The way that like essentially talking about like how cutthroat it is, how hard it is, how the day to day. It was just too much stress for him to manage, and he's also looking at it from this perspective. He doesn't have the club does not is currently in a financial struggle, and they don't have the capabilities to compete with their main rivals, Real Madrid, who are going to Champions League finals over and over again, who are in the summer kind of signed Mbappe. But I don't want to go on too long because Manny is the Barcelona fan. If you want to add on anything that I'm trying to say, Manny.
No, yeah, that you make a good point because you mentioned that jump he made. He retired fairly soon, probably no more than 10 years ago, 9 years ago, and then he became the coach of the team that he was playing for in like Saudi or somewhere over there, and he became the coach of that team over there, and then to make the jump to one of the biggest clubs in Europe, known worldwide, it's a massive jump. No matter if you played there, if you were a great player like he was there. So I think now looking back on it, obviously hindsight is 2020. So looking at that back now, should he have gone somewhere else before making such a big jump? Probably yes is the answer to that. And again, the financial situation doesn't help, like Emran said as well. When you have the pressure of playing well and your biggest rival is, winning all the trophies, it's extremely hard as a manager. And again, I just felt now that they know they need a more experienced voice in there. That's why you have the rumors with Hansi Flick. Thomas Tuchel was thrown in there a couple of times, and maybe Rafa Marquez as well. So, with Xavi, it's just a shame to see because he was so loved as a legend and as a player. But I think now they won the league with him last year, so that was pretty well. And they did all right in the Champions League this year, but I think it just became too much for him to sort of deal with. And now there is a lot of pressure, so they're going to have to try and make a change now with it.
And I think we should, change the perspective of where we're talking from just a little bit. We're talking about the pressure and all that of him being the manager of Barcelona, but he came with the board and he decided he wants to stay. They went on that run in the Champions League where they got very unlucky, where they lost primarily because of a red card. They went on that run. They had some decent form in La Liga. They were able to, turn it around just a little bit, and they came together and he decided he wanted to stay. But now the talk is, it's the Barcelona board and the Barcelona president, Joan Laporta, who's the one thinking about letting go of Xavi because of comments that he made. And comments that he made, by the way, all he was doing was just spitting reality. They don't have the financial capabilities to compete with Real Madrid right now. They don't. Real Madrid are about to bring in, yes, on a free transfer, but they're about to bring in a guy like Mbappe. They're going to bring in potentially someone like Alphonso Davies. Like Barcelona, they're going to be scrapping for free transfers during the summer. They're not going to be able to compete with Real Madrid. And that's literally what he said. They don't have the financial capabilities. And I think Joan Laporta, I guess he considered it a betrayal. Maybe there was, some sort of agreement that they had together to not have this like negative perspective told to the media. I don't know. But it's just, for me, it's very, very childlike the way the Barcelona board and president is operating. I don't know, because it's too much of an emotional roller coaster. When you're on the top of that, you kind of have to have like a level head. If you want to add anything.
Well, I was going to say, I know like you guys are saying they maybe want more like of a more experienced coach. But is it also like they kind of want someone that's not really going to like speak out and just kind of like be
a yes man?
More of like yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. Yes man.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I don't know at this point, honestly, what they are looking for because they're so back and forth with it. But I think that is it to a certain aspect. But also, if they do bring in someone different, I would like to see them, bring in someone that doesn't fit the mold of the Barcelona sort of style. That's usually been their MO, finding someone that fits their style. And I think almost that could be their biggest problem. They're too traditional with it. They almost just really filter their options to former players or players that they know can sort of play that similar style. And I think it's just outdated, honestly. I think we mentioned that before. It's just outdated now, and a lot of teams now are a lot more physical and just faster, and they're just focusing on winning and results, which is all that matters really at the end of the day. And while Barcelona is still in a spot where they find the coach that they want, but also trying to fit this mold of the way that they want to play. And sometimes that doesn't get the result, and that's where you get all the pressure and scrutiny and all this sort of things off of the field, which just becomes a distraction.
Well, now, do they also still have to pay him? I know I even with him leaving, because I think I saw something that said that, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, he's on a contract, but yeah, that's nothing to the board.
Okay,
they're
gotcha.
able to, that's nothing to them. Especially because the coaches, they don't count part of this like salary limitations or any of that either.
Gotcha.
But my main thing I want to ask Manny real quick before we finish off this segment. Do you think the main the main reason why we've seen a decline in Barcelona's success over the past half a decade or so is because of their outdated system or because of their lack of ability to compete financially with other top Premier League clubs or Real Madrid and so on.
Yeah, I would probably go more for the outdated style, honestly, because even so, that they don't have the finances, you've seen them find players like just off the top of my head, like Pedri, he came over for cheap. Gavi was a academy player. Lamine Yamal now is an academy player. Pau Kubarsi is another academy player, and they're all top talents for how young they are. So just from that aspect of it. I don't think it's so much the finances because you're able to find, there's a little bit of luck into it, obviously, but you're able to find some of these young talents. And because of that, it's more so the style because I think they just need to try something different to get the most out of these players. And if they do that, I think it'll lead to better results. But for right now, the finances don't seem to be the problem if you find such talented players like everyone has labeled these young players that Barcelona has.